Welcome, welcome. I am so absolutely excited for today. We have an incredible lineup for you. It's all about the royalty. It's Tuesday night. I'm Christine Campbell, your host here with 9 at Night. Every weekday night from Monday through Friday, you can catch us a different topic every night, and tonight is royalty, and the website is 9atnight.com. You can get on right now, scroll down, click on that big Zoom box and get right in live with us, so you can watch it on the recordings under podcast recordings. Well, I just want to get started. We have themed it's all about the royalty. I have no idea why that background is on behind me. Boy, all kinds of things are coming on, right? So I am just so excited, and let's go ahead and get started. And I'm going to say a little bit about guests. We have 3 guests tonight, and with that, I'm going to bring each one on individually. I'm so excited. Our first guest is James Kinsey. Now, he is the president of Senior Pageants Group, and we're going to learn tonight the greatness and the sophistication of how these pageants are run through James. So right now, I'm so excited. Welcome, James Kinsey.
Well, thank you very much. If anybody's questioning what I'm wearing right now, we're in the middle of a 140-mile-an-hour hurricane. So as long as the power doesn't go out, we'll be fine.
Well, I'll tell you, I am so impressed that you are on tonight. I was worried about you, but you are just such a trooper, and I really appreciate it. And many prayers out to Florida, especially where you're at in South Florida. James, what I have some photos that I brought up that I wanted to just have us kind of talk about these in how the pageant was started. I may not have them in the correct order, but before we do, your story of how it got started is amazing. So if you don't mind just sharing with us how you got started with the Senior Pageants Group.
Well, that's actually pretty easy. The original person who had an idea goes back to a couple of ladies, Marilyn Kohler, who's in her 90s, Nicole Dufell, who then brought on Cat Ray. I was originally just a sponsor. I was in no way in charge and not supposed to take charge in any way. Eventually, the investors dropped out, and I was left. I was asked to take it over. The picture to the left is where it has grown since the early stages in 2015 with the 3 major pageants and brands that we now have. And that's Senior United States under 60, that's 50 to 59. We have Senior USA, which is 60 to 74, and Super Senior USA, which is 75 and up. Senior Universe is also 60 years old. Super Senior Universe is 75. And then we have Grand Dam Universe, which begins at 90. We do not cap ages, and we do not exclude people on the basis of their age.
I absolutely love it. And I'm so impressed with this because many people wonder, where do the senior citizens, what do they do after they're retired? Well, you make it a full gamut of a whole new life with that. Now, this particular pageant is going to meet in or north of Orlando. Let's talk about the Villages real quick.
Okay. The Villages is the largest senior center on the planet. It has 135 households, 90 community centers, 3 main squares, and the Sharon Morse Performing Arts Center is 1,000+ seat, state-of-the-art musical theater. And it has wonderful acoustics, and it has just been renovated again, although it just opened in 2015. It's very lovingly cared for. Sharon Morse, and if you'll pardon my voice here, Sharon Morse was the original wife of one of the founders, and she was a theater person. Her son and her granddaughter have taken it over and have kept the tradition alive.
This is absolutely phenomenal. Now, you were in the Pageant magazine. You have a very good working relationship with the Pageant magazine. I want you to, if you don't mind, you are highly rated as a pageant level by the gentleman who runs the magazine. Let's talk about that.
Well, Carl Dunn and his family started Pageantry magazine more than 50 years ago. It is the standard of the industry. If you're not covered in Pageantry magazine, unfortunately, you really don't count. I hate to be a snob, but from the very, very beginning, I had the advantage of Carl talking to me and guiding me. Now, I know nothing about the industry. I still don't. The ladies such as SHELLEY and MARIANNE are the ones that give me the ideas of what to do next. The queens that win one year are actually the guiding force for the following year. My job is essentially the logistics and to make it happen. So if someone says, I think we should do this, okay, fine. And the idea is not to say no, but to try to make it work. Carl Dunn has been one of those guiding factors who, fortunately, he lives only an hour away from me from Orlando. We used to live apart from when I was in Las Vegas, but Carl is one I can pick up the phone and ask a question anytime, day or night. And Carl often calls me, and if you pardon expression, he says, "Did you do something bonehead?" It's like, Carl, I really don't know. You need to tell me. And he'll be very, very honest about it. Carl also loves the senior ladies. We have the first senior lady, senior pageant queen ever on the cover of Pageantry magazine as well. And so we scored a lot of firsts because of Carl's mentorship. He's just been a great friend to the pageant, and he's a great guy to be able to bounce ideas off of. And it was his ideas we go to the villages because his father's actually retired there.
Mm-hmm. Excellent, excellent. Again, now you have some excellent awards. And
yes, well, actually on this page, covering Marianne, it was a surprise to us after the pageant. AP and UPI actually picked up Marianne in, I think it was 240 plus publications across the country and the globe. And she just became an instant celebrity. As far as awards, the Huntsman Senior Games, that's Marianne. She was an inductee into the World Senior Games, and we were there for her induction. She was also, and this is what we try to do for the senior queens. We try to keep senior pageantry a mainstream situation. In other words, you don't just go to a pageant, earn a crown, go home. The idea is we try to keep it open for you to continue on throughout a year, whether it's go to International Seniors Day at the UN, or we just had 3 ladies at New York Fashion Week. We have the global, and so I'm sorry, and so the Global Beauty Awards. So with Marianne, what we did is we also submitted her, and we always submit people to multi-pageant systems to compete against other ladies. In that particular system, we won Best Talent, Best Titleist. Marianne, at the age of 70, won Best Fitness Award, and which is absolutely incredible, the ladies that she was up against. And so, it was one thing that's a 70-year-old wins against people half her age. People half her age are crying because, oh my God, a 70-year-old beat me. And so it's not about the competition. You really compete against yourself. But Marianne is just one of those outstanding competitors that really deserves it.
I absolutely love that. Now, before I show you some more slides, let's talk about, you are perfect for this because you're a lawyer. I mean, the way you fell into it, it was meant to be.
It was one of the more unusual situations. I was working on the railroads. This was back in the 90s. And I've been in the military, came back from the military, earned citizenship in Israel, came back from that. Actually worked for Trump in Atlantic City for a while in the 80s. Came back from that, rode a motorcycle, and while I was riding a motorcycle, did a number of incredibly strange things. most of which got caught on camera, which probably is, my grandchildren are going to ask about someday. And at one point, I was working with the railroads, and the railroad, most people do not understand. It's a self-governing body. It's called the Association of American Railroads, and I was part of the administration called Section G. I'd actually worked my way up, and my job was to go and do quality assurance checks on trains, locomotives, remanufacturing of wheels and bases and air brakes and things like that to keep stock rolling and safe. And so I was at a Surface Transportation Board meeting in Reno, and several political appointees were arguing about doing some crazy things to make the track safer, such as speeding up trains. Well, if you have a large train, it's going to take a mile to stop. By that time, whose life you're trying to save is already gone. So I raised my hand and I said, I think you guys don't know what you're talking about. You're good political appointees. And so the gentleman looked at me and said, if you can do better, come on up. So I did. In the audience was the Executive Vice President, General Counsel of Harrah's Operating and Harrah's Entertainment, HEI, which was on the stock exchange, and is the company behind most things Caesars. And Jim Butler was the first Black gaming attorney on the planet, and he got his start from Merv Griffin. And Merv Griffin schooled him. It started with Resorts International. So Jim called me up and said, I like you. I'm going to put you in law school and hire you. I said, no, never mind. I hate lawyers, and it's put your paycheck in the air and set it on fire. And he says, I like you even more now.
Because you tell the truth, you tell it as it is. That's excellent.
Well, I just thought the guy was crazy, and he liked me for a lot of different reasons. And so eventually, after 6 months and a couple of trial projects, he brought me down to Vegas and paid me some incredibly stupid money. I had no official title. I had no idea what I was doing. But during the day, I would work in the law department, which was an old place that was hidden behind a cashier's cage at Harrah's Las Vegas, and which was mostly things Harrah's. There was a vault that had, I don't know, 5-6 billion of bearer bonds and all the computers that ran the casinos. And Harrah's was experimenting on things, and they needed somebody to do the paperwork. Like today's player's card, every player card you use, of course, the casino gets a piece of it. Harrah's gets a piece of that piece. So it's the most cash-rich casino company on the planet. And so he put me in a law school. He came by one day, I was teaching class, and he said, I don't like that you're teaching. I said, well, they didn't know what they were doing. And so they picked me up and sent me to London.
Wow.
So I actually went to law school at University of London. I learned a completely different method. I learned very simple. You go for the facts. And for instance, in Britain, you must be licensed for the lowest level. You must get a license for the middle level. You must have a license for the upper level. You must earn your way all the way up before you can make a mistake. In America, you graduate law school and you hang your shingle. And that's pretty much it. In America, if you go to one state and you pass the bar, you're in that state only. In Britain, you're qualified for 70 countries.
That's
which
excellent.
you could be qualified. For me, it qualified me for Hong Kong. It qualified me for Israel.
Oh, wow.
The interesting part of it is I also worked in the legal department of a place called Genting, Genting. And Genting was interesting because Genting was the super casino of Great Britain. And so the super casino was every Resorts World you see nowadays is Genting, which is owned behind the scenes by Harrah's Operating Company. And that's where I took my training.
You know, with that being global, as you mentioned, with the universe and Miss Senior Universe pageants and everything, it's so perfect. It's amazing how each of these ladies, as I'm finding out, they all had things that they did in life and contributed to life. And now they're all of them together, again, with your guidance, legal guidance, which is excellent. It is creating a whole new world for those that are retired. So I absolutely love it. I'm going to go through some other shots, and
Okay,
I'm going to let you kind of speak a little bit about that so we can get, there's
sure.
probably about 6 photos, maybe a little bit more. And so we're going to try to
Okay.
get these done in 10 minutes.
Yeah, as far as the legal side of things, basically I do the simple stuff. The ladies really come up with the ideas. And that's when I'm fortunate enough to pick up the phone, make some calls, and ask the people in charge, what do you need? The background in the casino industry has helped out. So if I have to call New York, I call a regulator, and the regulator will say, James, this is what you need to do. Okay, fine, thanks. And it actually cuts through a lot of the chase. So we don't have to do a lot of the stuff that other organizations do. If we were as big as, say, Miss USA or Miss America, they've got platoons and teams of lawyers. For us, thank God we haven't had to go that route.
That is excellent. You have incredible ladies too. I'm going to just pass some of these pictures by if there's anything you want to chat
Well,
about.
in this one, it was interesting because if you look at the bottom left, it was Martin Luther King Day. And Steve Sisolak, the governor, who's an old friend of mine from his days on the county commission, there was virtually no attendance that morning. So we bust all the ladies down there to pose with Steve, and the news media showed up. And next thing you know, they had a full route, which is a good thing. So we helped out. If you look at the middle, you'll see one of the ladies, which was Shelley on the bull. And that might actually, it's either Shelley or Charlotte, I can't really tell. But one of our traditions is we go to a mechanical bull at the end of every pageant. And so we find someone, we explain to them, we've got 70, 80, 90-year-olds, but this is a bucket list, and they want to ride the mechanical bull. And so if you saw the trailer for Shelley in Wonderland, there was at that time it was a 79-year-old Nancy Burhorse. I'm having a time of my life. And so every year we try to have somebody ride the bull.
I love it.
Next to that is an icebreaker. I'm sorry. So next to that is an icebreaker. For ladies who have never been in pageants before, what we do is we do showgirl boot camp. And showgirl boot camp, we teach ladies, we put them in makeup and feathers, and we walk them around. Now, what you will see in the most recent, I think it's the Masked Singer. One of our ladies who lives in Las Vegas is actually in the Masked Singer as the showgirls who walk out with Wayne Newton.
Oh my heavens. Oh, that is so cool.
And so those are some of the things we try to do. It was something we couldn't talk about, but it was good. Let's see, this picture, that was one of our first pageants in the background. If you can raise it up just a little bit would be great.
My slides didn't do that. That's what I was trying to do. So this is
okay, no problem. So the bottom three are all of the same thing. That is the Tropicana yard or patio area in front of the Tropicana with the Statue of Liberty and the New York in the background. And you kind of see the top of the head of Tamara Spihart and Charlotte. Left of the center one is Miss Georgia USA 1952, the original pageant queen from Miss USA.
Oh my heavens.
So we had some great people. Now, what happened in this particular one was that the Tropicana just had an open yard. It was right on the strip. It was completely open. They've had it there for 50 years. And so I asked, I said, well, can we do our event there? Can we have an open public meet and greet? Well, you can if you can get the permit. So I called Steve, who was in the previous photos. I said, Steve, I need a permit for the Tropicana, and we're just going to have a party. You're not going to run on a strip. No, we're not going to run on a strip. So I go back to the Tropicana, and they were absolutely aghast that we actually got the one permit that nobody can get in 50 years.
I'm
And
proud of you. You have connections.
well, it has nothing to do with connections. It's just, please, thank you. Don't give people, a headache.
Mhm.
And don't shoot off fireworks. It's going to stop traffic, things like that.
Mhm.
So what we did is I called up some friends of mine at IATSE, the Stagehands Union, and we built a performing stage with the
Oh, wow.
Statue of Liberty in the background. And
Wow.
so the Statue of Liberty in the background. So we had a Neil Diamond impersonator named Rob Goldman.
Mhm.
And Rob came out and sang Coming to America. And we shot a music video with the ladies with the Statue of Liberty in the background.
Oh, I love it. Oh, wow, that is so cool. And I'm sorry, this PowerPoint, whatever, doesn't get everything involved on the slide.
Well, there's a picture of Rob in the center left, and that's actually Rob.
Oh,
And
okay.
so he was great. Down below is that's Carol Thomas. That was our second Senior USA after the first, which was shown in the poster there. And then our third one was Donna McGuffey. Our second Senior United States is Lauren Monahan, is shown with Carol Thomas. And so let's see, I can't see who's behind the screens in some of the photos. But the idea is, even after this, so Carol Thomas later went and did Dr. Oz, appeared on Dr. Oz, and did a health promo. She was a lady who was a breast cancer survivor. And so they were doing breast cancer, so he had her on the show.
Well, that's one thing I was really impressed with is these ladies, you make sure they're seen and heard with all kinds of different events. I was really impressed with that.
Well, it's nothing to be impressed with me. They do the work. So this is the first pageantry magazine ever with a senior queen on the cover.
Excellent.
And so that was Sarah Jo Burke. We have Paula Lee, of course, on the bull.
Mm-hmm.
And we had Liberace. So we have Liberace down in the bottom right. Mm-hmm. So the Liberace mansion was very important. So that was Judy Cook, Liberace, Debbie Miller, and Nancy Long. Nancy Long won the pageant with the first silent talent. And so so we put headphones on, and she sang "God Be the Glory," or she signed with the American Sign Language.
Oh my goodness.
So Liberace, we have a photo with Liberace. Liberace was interesting because the first time we insure everybody. So if you go to an event, and even if I don't know about you, fall off a stage, you're covered. And so the idea is that at Liberace Mansion, we had a Queen's dinner, and a gentleman had acid reflux disease. At least he thought he did. I was there. I called paramedics right away. I said, he's having a heart attack. He thinks it's acid. Let's take him in. We took him in. He had an emergency bypass that night.
Oh my gosh.
And so we have Queen's insurance. And because Joanne and her husband could not go home for more than 6 weeks after, our Queen's insurance covered them to live in Las Vegas without cost while he was recovering.
Oh my heaven, that is incredible. I absolutely love that.
Okay, this one. Oh, this was a fun one. So this particular one was 2000, I believe it was 19. And this is Charlotte in the lower right-hand corner, right next to Sally Beth. And so Charlotte was in the hospital with a aortic aneurysm, and she survived. And she called me one day. I'm riding a bus. Why? Because I can't fly. Why? I'm going to New York. Why? I have a bucket list. I'm going to the United Nations, and it's the International Women's Day. So I flew there, and a couple of other ladies went with us, and we started a tradition. And it was funny because the first time we were there, we had to go through the police station and do all of our check-ins. And I actually wore this to try to make the way easier. and they laughed a little bit. And so we went there. It was snowing sideways, stuff falling on cars. We went there, and the Deputy Secretary General in charge, and this is the one right behind her, was, "We don't know why you're here, but thank you for coming."
Wow.
The second time we were there was, "Thank you for coming. We're glad you're back." This was the third time. And so the third time, this is Anju Pandey, who is a great friend of the pageant.
Mhm.
And now she actually helped us find a senior India. And so what happened is the Deputy Secretary General, and there's, I think, another picture, it's probably later, took Cherie up behind this podium and said, "You will be here someday." And
Wow.
this is the Board of Governors of a new NGO. And it says Senior Ambassador, United Nations. So this
Wow.
was the first pageant queen ever crowned on the floor of the United Nations. Galen Sahir, whose family comes from both Egypt and Israel, was the second one. And so, so this is tradition. In 2020, when everything was closing down, we were the only group allowed in.
That is incredible. I can't get the smile off my face. Everything you're saying, I think, wow, this is the coolest. Absolutely love it. We have a couple more we need to run through. There's so many stories.
This is Carol Thomas and Dr. Oz. So upper left is, okay, I got my boss here. So upper left is, we always send ladies to Washington for the honor flights. So they actually went and met with the veterans. The veterans have a softball team called the Wounded Warriors, and they go around the country playing the winners of tournaments. So at the Tournament of Champions in Winter Haven, our ladies were the cheerleaders. So they actually wore Wounded Warrior jerseys and posed with the guys. That's the upper right. The middle left is our senior United States, Lauren Monahan, who's currently representing Puerto Rico. Lauren's a great lady. Right beside that is Spotlight Senior Spectaculars. So we helped out several senior spectaculars across the country kick off with events for seniors. The far right is actually an honor flight coming back. So when the honor flights come back, we help arrange bagpipes and marching bands. And when they reach the airports, we give them awards and things like that. Lower left is with Carl Dunn in the middle, and he's running Pageantry Magazine, and he had never been to a Wounded Warriors event before. It was interesting because he was standing behind the backstop as people missing limbs were batting baseballs, and like it was nothing. And he was in tears. Center is our beautiful Sally Beth Vick, who actually sang the national anthem at that time. And she was the first one to receive the Pageantry Magazine Legend Award.
Oh my heavens. You have such incredible women. This is the fun one. This is who our reigning Miss Senior Universe is a part of.
This is the torch lighting of the World Senior Games last year. And so what we did is we brought together a delegation. We're at the Sterling Club with the delegation. Let's see, from left to right is Connie USA, Pam Phan. And Pam Phan I actually knew when I was 17 years old in Vietnam. And we had met when she was evacuating. The Philippines, which is what we call Aunt Jenny. Previous Senior Universe was Nicole Dufell. We have from Washington, Miss Marshall, and then we have Senior Utah, which was Janine Burton. And she was a Senior Utah after our Senior Utah, SHELLEY.
Excellent. Excellent. Gosh, we're at the close of this portion with you. I can't wait to bring the ladies on. But James, I can't say thank you enough for this.
No problem.
I sure appreciate it. This has been exciting to get to know what's really behind the scenes when it comes to these wonderful pageants and their purpose, an incredible purpose. I think it's time that everyone knows that 60 and above, you have a lot of life left, and why not make it work? Right now, I'm excited to introduce our first queen that we have on tonight. I'm so excited. In fact, I'm going to introduce her in a different kind of way. She has a documentary about her. It's SHELLEY SYBLE GISH. She is Miss Senior Universe Canada. And I am so excited to how she's done quite a bit to help with the Senior Pageants Group. And we're going to start with this documentary, just a little tease of it because it's the trailer.
Hello, ladies. I'm Shelley.
Shelley.
Uh-huh. This is going to be one fun week.
Welcome to the Miss Senior and Miss Super Senior pageant for 2019. Ladies, we're women. If that's all we have to worry about, life is really good today. Enjoy yourselves.
How old are you, Paula?
72.
Oh, my heavens.
I have a new boyfriend. It's not Vince, is it?
Well, I've been alone a long time. I've been alone about 13 years.
I want to still shine as an older lady. I don't want to just be put out to pasture.
You become 60, they say it's like the forgotten generation. Nobody remembers us.
So, showgirl arms. Doing this pageant,
Nice, stay on the beat.
for me, was not necessarily about winning,
Good.
but about stepping into an arena that I've never done before and doing something for myself.
I'm having the time of my life. I'm 79.
Beautiful, Shelley. All right. I can't wait to bring you on. Shelley, welcome to 9 at Night. We sure appreciate you. You know, I am so excited. Now you're a mom of 8 kids, but you actually fostered a total of 53 teens. Let's talk about let's talk a little bit about this wonderful discovery of you and what you're doing to make a positive difference in literally in the world.
Well, thank you. I definitely was a mother of 8 and became a single mother when I was pregnant with that 8th child. So that was a tough time to go through, and was still raising those 8 children. I had 4 who were almost out of the house and still 4 little boys when the state of Utah, someone from the state of Utah called me and asked me to come meet with him, which I did, and I didn't know why. And so as he explained his situation and then told me that he was a foster parent for the state of Utah and asked if I would consider becoming a foster parent, which of course, being a single mother, having already had 4 almost ready to be out of the nest, and then to think of having, I still had 4 little ones at home, and then he wanted me to become a foster parent. I really didn't know why on earth he would ask me that. But he told me that it was because he knew one of my daughters, my daughter Echo, and that he knew her from college or from beginning college, and that he was so impressed by her and all of the things that she talked about in our family and in the loving way that we represented our life, our religion, our family, that he said that type of a family was more than most of these foster kids would ever have. And I don't mean that in a critical way. I don't know their families or their parents, but that was the way he had described it to me, and asked me, told me they had several foster boys, particularly, that they were having trouble placing. And so since I still had boys at home, I chose to only do boys, went through all the training, got licensed, and began what I thought would be just a once or twice situation back in about 1999 or 2000. And before I finished, we took a few breaks here and there due to other situations, but before I finished, in 2015, I had 53 boys in my home, anywhere from a few months to a couple of years, and loved them all. Didn't love them quite the same as you do your own biological children, but really loved them all and learned a great deal from them. And I felt like it was a good experience for them and hopefully a good experience for my own children as well.
Excellent story. Now, from there to here with these beautiful photos of you as queen, let's talk about your thought process when what your documentary is your first experience, but let's talk about this process of being with the Senior Pageants Group.
Well, certainly it was never anything on my bucket list. And I had been at that Wounded Warrior event that James told you about. I was there in 2018 in Florida, working with my magic stuff, all natural health products. And a gentleman came up and visited with me and my business partner, who's quite a bit older. And he just visited with us at our little booth on and off throughout that whole Wounded Warrior pageant. And Wounded Warrior, the game.
Right.
And throughout the evening, he said that he wanted me to meet someone and asked me if I could walk over to where the game was being played. And so I did. And he began to introduce me to these beautiful queens that were there, the ones singing the national anthem and the ones helping the gentlemen and meeting and greeting them and having pictures taken. And of course, I was blown away by all of that. I'd certainly never seen anything like it before. And so those ladies, I think there were 5 of them, came over to my booth and spent some time visiting and took pictures. And then one of them said to me, "Do you think you might ever want to join a senior pageant group?" And I said, "I really don't think so. I'm shy by nature. I can do things that I have a responsibility to do, and I do them quite well. But on a personal level, I'm really shy. I can't go around giving out my business card, and I can't bring a bunch of business in. I do well when I'm in the situation I'm supposed to be in, but I'm quite a shy person." And so I said no. Well, after I got home from that tournament, I began to get some calls and emails from some of the ladies, and one in particular that just kept trying to encourage me. And so one day a couple of my kids were at my office and I was pacing, which is not normal for me. And my son said, "What is wrong, Mother?" And so I said, "Well, this opportunity has come up for me that I could do an application for. I've apparently been kind of nominated or suggested to them that I might make a good candidate for this. They don't presently have a Miss Senior Utah in their group." And so I kind of babbled on about it real quick, just kind of, and then my son said, "Well, Mom, is it something you'd want to do?" And I said, "Well, I don't know. I've never thought about it. I would have to do a talent. I'd have to wear gowns. I'd have to go across the stage, do a philosophy of life. I just don't even know." And he said, "Hey, Mom, are you afraid?" And I was very quiet for a minute. And then I said, I guess I am afraid." And he said, "Then I'm going to remind you of what you told us all our life. If you're not doing it because you're afraid, then you need to feel the fear and do it anyway." And so then I was like, oh my gosh. So without the previous experience of of pageant, when we then told some of my other kids that this was a possibility, then quickly they jumped on board. Some of them jumping online, looking for a costume for me, deciding what I would be in this pageant, as I was in the Miss Senior USA pageant first. These pictures are from the Miss Senior Canada pageant, but my first one was Miss Senior USA. And so they actually helped me come up with the costume. You probably have a picture of it, of the queen bee, because that's what they think of me and our family anyway. And we're in Utah, which is the desert state. So they designed a costume. They got all the pieces to it. They put it together. My son Justin, that was at my office that day, he and his wife said, "We'll help you with the wording. We'll help you with whatever your application process is. We'll do that." My other son is a musician. He said, "Mom, you come to my studio, and I know you've struggled with singing for years because of that poisoning in your throat, but if you want to do that, I will help you do that.
Wow.
And so really, it was all through it. And then one of my daughters said, I'm not working that week. I would like to come with you. So that was very, very special to me.
I love
So
it.
it was a big deal. It was a really big deal. And I would say I did fairly well. I didn't go there to win. I went there for the fanciest fashion show I'd ever could have imagined being in, and to meet and support these ladies and these people that had helped me get involved. That was in about June of 2018. In about September, I got a phone call from a lady who said that she was supposed to be in the 2018 Miss Senior Universe, and that she wasn't going to be able to come. And would I please take her place, because she knew I was from Canada and she was from Canada. She said she'd send me her costume. She'd help me to know what to do and what to say. And so when I did that first one, I never ever thought about going back and doing another one. So when this presented itself late in 2018, then because of her encouragement and because of her sending me that little costume that she sent me, and me picking up the flag and the little horsey on my own and finding a new gown and doing all of those things, then I did do that pageant also. But then I really was thinking I was done. That was enough. It was a beautiful situation and a fun experience. I didn't win a bigger title than my Miss Senior Utah or Miss Senior Canada, but I had a wonderful time.
I absolutely love it. And I love the progress that you started from an idea, but your support team with your kids, all those years you spent with them, and now they're helping you. I love that. We have, is this all of your kids?
This is my 2 daughters and my 5 daughter-in-laws.
Oh,
And so
all
they
these
all
girls.
yes.
That is wonderful. What a great support team. And you're just gorgeous as ever. What a great experience. So I didn't quite have an order to put these in, and I couldn't get all the pictures, but look how regal you look. Just absolutely princess, queen.
Well, thank you. This is on the right. That's from the 2019 Miss Senior Canada that I never thought I'd be going back to, but I did, and I was thrilled that I did. Several of my kids were there, and I somehow out of the blue won first runner-up to Miss Nicole DeFell, who was the new Miss Senior Universe. So that was a special thing. On the left was a picture from our Global Beauty Awards that I had been nominated in as Miss Congeniality for some reason. And I had also been nominated as a person of best content, which I put in the information they asked me about the documentary. And the other one was for the foster care. Those were the 3 categories I had been nominated in. And again, I was quite surprised when I walked away with this beautiful, beautiful trophy for the Miss Congeniality area. So that was very, very special.
I absolutely love that. Now I want to ask you, how has that changed your life, being in the pageantry?
I think one of the things that was the most surprising is how, like I said, I'm quite a shy person. And so a lot of these queens have gone out, they've gone to the Chamber of Commerce, they've gone to the veterans things, they've gone to a whole lot of very public things. And that first couple of years as I was in this pageantry, I didn't have anyone else here in Utah with me in southern Utah to kind of give me any guidance on that or any mentoring for that. So I didn't do a whole lot of that, but I did do the senior games and special costumes for senior games, gave out awards, because myself and my business partner, who's a elder guy, he's 84, and he is always in the senior games. And some of the ladies had talked about their husbands being in senior games. So I took the time to go and meet them and see them at senior games and everything. But I will tell you just a cute, tiny story of senior games. I went in a nice outfit, but in sash and crown. And after 1 or 2 of those games, I'd been sitting with the group of wives as their husbands were playing. The next day, a lady came up to me and said, "Oh my gosh, you have no idea what you did." I said, "No, I certainly don't." And she said, after you came and sat with us through that whole game and cheered our team on, then our husbands told us to go to dinner and they would meet us later. And when that happened, their husbands got together, went to 2 or 3 of the stores in town in St. George and bought a tiara for every one of their
Aw.
wives.
Oh, I
When
love
they
that.
met at dinner, they presented them with their tiaras and told them that they were their queens. So that was just really, really, really touching to me. And so she felt like that would never have happened if I hadn't have been able to be there and spend the time I did at Senior Games. So it has helped me to go out of my shell more. It has helped me to deal with the not being in my comfort zone quite a bit more. I'm still not great at it,
Mhm.
but I try. And of course, because I began singing then, which I had a terrible poisoning in my throat for 5 years.
Mhm.
And so I had no way to sing when my children had been used to me singing to them all their lives, not professionally, just for them. And so when this all took place, then I did do what my son suggested, and I went to his studio and he helped me, and we worked and worked and worked on this poor little throat of mine until I did sing at the pageant as the first time that I'd sang in public for all of those 5 years. And so I sang I'll Be Your Candle on the Water as a tribute to my children in that
Aw.
pageant.
Oh, I absolutely love it. You are just adorable too. Thank you so much. Shelley SYBLE Gish, Miss Universe, Senior Universe Canada. We're going to hear more from her on future shows. Right now, I want to turn on to our final guest that we have tonight. I'm just so excited. We watched a podcast of her last week, and that is Miss Senior Universe 2022. And that is Marianne Hamilton. Now, a little bit about her. Now, with Shelley, we had a whole documentary trailer to introduce her. So I'm going to just tell you some great things about Marianne. She's a native of Sacramento, California. She attended St. Mary's College in Moraga, California. I hope I said that right. She was among the first class of women admitted in 1970 and lived in the Bay Area until she and her husband, Doug, moved to St. George, Utah. And that was in 2014. She's a lifelong journalist whose work has appeared in national, regional publications covering entertainment, food and wine, and high-tech industries. And now, more recently, the arts, culture, and active aging. She's a perfect place to be to show the example of active aging. She's a fitness instructor and athlete who has earned more than 40 gold medals. Let me say that again. That's a 40 gold medals in Senior Olympics and Senior Games race walking competitions, along with the U.S. And then Marianne, she's also a race co-chair for the National Senior Games, race walks and power walks, and the race director for the same events in the Huntsman World Senior Games in St. George. I think anyone over 60 needs to be in these games. She and Doug were 2021 inductees into the Senior Games Hall of Fame. And then after a 25-year stint as an artist model, she now devotes most of her time to volunteer work, serving as past chair and board member of the Art Around the Corner Foundation, which is a former member of St. George Arts Commission, co-founder and co-director of the United States Power Walking Association, co-director of the Southern Utah Wine Guild, and special events manager at the Utah International Documentary Film Festival. Incredible. In December 2019, Marianne was crowned Miss Senior Italy Universe. And in January 2022, Marianne was crowned Miss Senior Universe. The physical fitness winner in the 2022, the Global Beauty Awards. And Marianne is a breast cancer survivor who credits her commitment to fitness as the key to her successful outcome. Marianne was a 2022 TEDx presenter and is the recipient of City of St. George's Annual Excellence in the Arts Award, presented to individuals and organizations who demonstrate outstanding support for the local arts scene. So with that, I'm so excited to bring you on Marianne Hamilton, Miss Senior Universe.
Hi, Christine. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Wow, that is a wonderful bio. Past I'm sitting.
Information, I'm sure.
No, I am so impressed because you are proving age doesn't mean anything if you have a desire and a passion. Now, how old are you?
I'll be 70 the day before Thanksgiving on November 23rd.
I wanted everyone to hear that because there is no excuse for, for anything to keep you from really living your dreams. You're as
The number on your driver's license really doesn't mean a hill of beans. It's just really how you feel about yourself in here and what you choose to do with your life. And I just don't think that there are any limitations that need to compress mine at this point in life.
well, and I totally agree with you. Now, what we're going to do is have you on, kind of explain you were in so many magazines after you won Miss Senior Universe. Let's talk about your thought process. You have done so much to serve others, to report on others, and now it's all about you.
I have to say it was a very, very, very surreal experience for sure. And like Shelley, this was something that was so not on my radar screen growing up. I mean, I was a chubby, acne-ridden, glasses-wearing little girl who liked to read and, write poetry and eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And that was kind of my frame of reference. And the idea, I'd never even been to a pageant, much less been in one before. There was just no way I thought of myself in that arena. And actually, I was at a Senior Games event in Albuquerque, and I saw a lovely lady wearing a sash and a crown that said Miss Senior Utah. And it turned out to be Shelley. And I went up and yes. And I thought, well, I live in Utah. That's kind of interesting. And I went up and spoke to her, and she was just lovely and darling. And she encouraged me to think about it. And I thought, well, perhaps. And it was still sort of a nebulous thing that I didn't think was a possibility. And then a couple of months later, I ran into her again back in St. George, Utah, where we both live. And we talked some more. And she said, you really, go to the website, take a look. And so I did. And I was very intrigued, and I got the phone number and I called James, and we had a hysterical conversation, and it was wonderful. And I thought, this is so insane. I really want to try it. And so I filled out all the paperwork, talked to him, basically sent everything in. But I never told my husband for about 3 months because I was sure he would think I was completely deranged. And because again, it's not something that I've ever entertained on, in my reality. And so the pageant, this was 2019, and the pageant was going to be happening in December. And at the end of the summer, I thought, I really ought to tell him that I'm thinking about this, and we're in the pool one night floating around. And I said, honey, I got to tell you something. And he's like, are you okay? Are we happy? Do you want a divorce or something? And I said, no, everything is wonderful. But there's this pageant, it's for women who are over 60 and blah, 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 blah. And all this stuff came flying out of my face. And he just said, stop. And I said, oh, I know, it's crazy. And he goes, no. Do you want to do it? And I said, I think so. And he said, then do it. He said, you do a lot of stuff for other people, all your volunteer work. You don't do that much for yourself ever. Just try it, why not? And I thought that is, the personification of a supportive mate, which was wonderful. So I did compete in December of 2019 as Miss Senior Italy Universe. Did not do too well because it was my first attempt, and I really wasn't very well prepared. I had no one really to talk to about that. I didn't know Shelley well enough I felt like I would be imposing on her if I asked her a lot of questions. So I sort of went and winged it. And it was not the most successful outing, but I had a blast, and I met amazing, profoundly talented and extraordinary women. And I thought, these are the kinds of ladies that I'd like to be connected with, for the rest of my life. And I thought perhaps I would try it again at some point. And then with COVID in 2020, that didn't happen. And also I had my health issues that year. But then this year, 2020 happened, and I didn't compete, but I was helping out backstage with Shelley, and
very good,
which was fun. And then 2021 was the whole COVID thing. So then it got pushed out until January of this year. And it worked a little better this time.
Yeah, are you kidding? Like big time? Are you? I love the story, and I love the fact that both you and Shelley, when you started, that you absolutely, who me? It wasn't like you grew up doing this stuff. It's a first time. Look at your gorgeous gown. Let's talk about, these are wonderful photos. Let's talk about them.
I found a website, and they're maybe not a sponsor, so I won't give their name, but I tend to not want to spend a great deal of money on my gowns. So I found this one. That one I got on clearance for $49.
No way.
Yes, I spent more on the hemming and tailoring than I did on the gown itself. So, the majority of my gowns come from this manufacturer, and I don't spend a great deal. So, I think you can still be glamorous and feel wonderful without going to a huge amount of expense. I know there are ladies that spend thousands on beautiful couture gowns, and I don't fault them for that. I just don't have that kind of income. My husband has a fixed income, and we kind of have to be careful. And so I just sort of choose to maybe go a little more economically, which is fine.
Oh, that's excellent. That's me. That's the right way to do. And then your beautiful photo with your crown. When you had that first put on your head, I mean, what were your thoughts?
Oh my goodness. Well, it is a big crown. In fact, when I was finally crowned, James looked at me and he said, "That thing's bigger than you are." and it's a big, heavy thing. But I thought, first of all, I can't believe this is happening. I had no expectations whatsoever. There are so many, like I said, so many extraordinary women in the pageant with me. And I thought I would have been very, very happy for any of them to be crowned. And when my name was called, I was about ready to pass out. And then Carl Dunn actually put the crown on my head from Pageantry magazine. And I all of a sudden thought, this is a really life-changing kind of thing. And there's a lot of responsibility that goes along with wearing this crown. And I want to be the best possible role model for women who are, of a certain age, over 60, and demonstrate to the world that just because we have a certain number on our driver's license does not mean that we should be written off. I think American society in particular tends to view women as sort of disposable after the age of 30 or so. And we bring such a cumulative amount of experiences and expertise and talents and just, things that we've gone through in our lives and our marriages and divorces and widowhood and all those kinds of things that make us richer, more vibrant, more interesting and exciting people. And I think that's, to me, what wearing this crown is all about, is celebrating that cumulative life experience in the best way possible.
I love it. And I totally agree with you. I cannot say enough about both of you, and many others are just leading the way that, as you mentioned, life is just beginning here. And you look beautiful in red, by the way.
Thank you very much. You feel powerful.
It is powerful. Now, where were you at here?
This was during last year's Huntsman World Senior Games, which is happening actually starting on Monday of next week. It is the largest multi-sport event for people over the age of 50 in the world. It will be greeting about close to 11,000 athletes, which will be a record number of athletes, to St. George, Utah. And each year they do a Hall of Fame presentation, which will be tomorrow evening, as a matter of fact. And last year, my husband and I were inducted into the Huntsman World Senior Games Hall of Fame. And they had a little display in the exhibit hall, excuse me. And there was a little write-up about each of the inductees. So I was holding.
Oh, wow. That is beautiful. I just absolutely love it. What I wanted to do was just kind of chat a little bit about the future. You are Miss Senior Universe of 2022. How do you see, with your impact of making this pageant even greater than what it is, as well as reaching out to women who have never experienced this but should?
I think the most exciting part of being crowned in January was that I had the opportunity to start working directly with James and Miss Senior USA, Connie Snyder, in producing this next pageant, which will be taking place at the Villages in November. And so James is been wonderful and very receptive to all the ideas that Connie and I brought to the table, and to having us sort of be a liaison for the Senior Pageants Group, and try and bring, you know, the women's perspective into it. I mean, he's the first to admit he's not a pageant guy. You know, he's been our wonderful backbone and funder and supporter and cheerleader, and it's, you know, really, really helpful for him to have that balanced by, you know, the female point of view as well. So that's been the most exciting part for me, to help sort of chart the future of the Miss Senior USA and Miss Senior Universe pageants.
I just absolutely love that.
Yeah.
I was going to say, any golden nuggets for women watching this in that age range, 60 and above, that you can share?
I think you have far more to offer than you think you do, and you deserve to be celebrated at whatever age you are. Again, I think, you know, if we sort of try and get past that American societal attitude of women, you know, being past their shelf life at 20 or 30 or 40 or whatever, embrace the fact that you're 60, you have all this amazing stuff that you've done and things to share. Going to one of the senior pageants is just like being a part of the most amazing sorority and being able to do the things that you couldn't do when you were 20 because you were worried about what people thought or you know, what the impact would be. Now, you know, anything's possible, and there are no limitations. So just do it, as Nike says, just do it.
I absolutely love it. It's been such a treat to have you here today to kind of share your passion. Exactly what, you know, why not over 60? Let's start our vision boards and our starts, but let's start with the pageant.
Exactly.
With the pageant in mind. Thank you so much, Marianne. I sure do appreciate you. You're absolutely amazing.
Thanks, Christine. It's been a pleasure and an honor.
I am excited. The website for Miss Senior USA and Miss Senior Universe is seniorpageantsgroup.com. And you can, or to missseniorUSA.com. They'll all funnel to that one. The finals on November 16th, that's 2022, and it is the Villages in Florida, north of Orlando. It's going to be a fabulous time, and it'll be great to start taking peeks at this website. Anybody that's just even in your 50s, be looking at the future of what you can do and have fun and start working at it today. What better way than having these beautiful, wonderful women? I'm excited about with 9 at Night on Tuesday nights. It's all about the royalty, because each week you're going to meet some amazing women that are involved at the pageants, and they love it. They embrace it, especially with the Senior Pageants Group. That's the one you want to belong to, because they really have it together and you really, really shine. I just want to say thanks again, James Kinsey. He's the president of Senior Pageants Group, and we are so excited to have him on every week as long as he can. Tonight, I'm amazed he was on because the big hurricane is out there in Florida and he's in the middle of it. So that was amazing. The trooperness of him has come through one more time. With that, I can't say thank you so much for being on the show tonight with wonderful women. You can see this recording on 9atnight.com under the podcast page. And we'll see you at the next 9 at Night. Thank you.
You're gonna break new ground, turn everything around. You're gonna live your life. There's a beautiful day.